Hey everybody, my name is Vanessa. I work with Studio Mekka as an educator in training. I'm also a stylist and makeup artist. You've probably seen me in my work in the last few photo shoots doing hair color assisting and makeup. Today I'm going to be showing you some really cool techniques with some really cool popular look right now, like a money piece, and how to soften and lighten your ends. We'll be working with Lakme products, and I'll be going through them with you and explaining how they work and why I chose that to do this particular technique. So stay tuned and enjoy. I'm going to be starting right at the top and face here because I want that to sit the longest because I want that to be the brightest. All right, so rolling. Now when doing foliage, it's really important to take small fine sections. A lot of people try to cut time by taking bigger sections, thicker sections, just so they can finish their head quicker. Like I said, just to cheat time a little bit. But what you're doing in that is you're not going to get maximum lift that way. You're probably going to grab a stronger developer, which in turn will damage the hair more. So you want to take small fine sections because you want the most maximum even lift and also like the lightest lift possible. You'll be saving yourself a lot of trouble at the sink afterwards. So I'm going ahead and I'm just kind of depositing mid-length first, and then afterwards I don't want to go all the way up to the root because I don't want it to have like a chunky kind of, I want it to be really fluid and flow. So I'm just gonna go in with my comb here, with my brush, and just kind of paint the top half. If you go right ahead and boom like this, you're not gonna be able to blend that in as well. So that's why I suggest starting a little bit lower and then working your way up like so. But like I was saying, when you take smaller baby fine sections, you're able to get much lighter results and much more even. And you get to go in with a lower developer, which a lot of people don't think to do, but a lower developer, it takes longer to apply smaller little sections, but because the sections are smaller, they lift faster. So in the end, you won't be sitting there as long waiting as you would be if you had bigger sections. And a lot of people with the bigger sections kind of have to let it sit longer and longer, always waiting for it to get lighter and lighter. But in the end, it's gonna go more brassy, and just give yourself a hard time at the sink later on. So you're best off to go fine, 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 and small. Slow and steady wins the race, and it really, really, really does, especially when you're working with hair. So my sections here. So I like to use foils. But papers work great as well. There we go. So lift up and place right down. Have good tension. As you can see, my very small, fine, it's going to lift really well. So like I was saying, the smaller your sections, the less, the more gentler developer you can use. But in this case, because I'm working with a mannequin head, and we all know how mannequin heads are kind of pains in the butts. I'm working with 20 volume today, which would be plenty fine. But in real life, I could probably get away with 10 volume, depending on the desired result and her starting level. But like I said, you don't need a super strong developer when using small little sections. All right. Again, small, good tension while you're doing your weaving or even slicing. I'm doing weaving today because I don't want to do a shadow root in this case, let's pretend this client has natural level. She wants to keep it like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do weaving. But let's say she was going for more of like an intense pop of blonde around the face, and you could go ahead and do slicing, because slicing is just more opaque, more a concentrated, well, just a concentrated section here. So, but I don't want to do a shadow root today. So, but slicing works as well. It depends on you and what you prefer to do. And some people have like these amazing, like almost origami style folding of their papers afterwards, which I find really cool, but I don't find very practical when it comes to saving time. You don't want to suffocate your bleach either, and sometimes when you do these extravagant foldings with your paper, your foil afterwards, you're suffocating your bleach, which can cause overheating, so over-processing, and then leaking. I don't know if that's ever happened to any of you before, where you go to check on your client and then she's got a nice bleach stain in the back because your paper is overheated because they were too tight, your bleach could not breathe, and then it became liquidy and leaked everywhere. So not really ideal. So again, starting midlength to ends, then working my way up, like so. And just a simple fold on the side here. So last little section here. Again, good tension, small weaving. I really like working with Lakme. It's 1 for 2. So 1 part bleaching powder, 2 parts developer. But what's cool about them too is if you prefer to have a more liquidy consistency, you can go ahead and add a little more developer. Or if you prefer to have stiffer, kind of like more sticky consistency, you can add maybe 1 for 1.5 or 1.5. Alrighty, so this is what I'm left with. Now here, this hair kind of falls on top. I don't want to necessarily highlight it to the root, but I do want to have some lightness. And I also want it to, kind of like have like a nice fluid finish. So I'm gonna do a teasing technique here, where I lightly grab here, not too tight, because the tighter you are, the tighter the tease and the more of a pain in the butt afterwards to brush up for you and your client. So nice soft tension here and just lightly tease up. I even sometimes use, if I'm doing a lot of teasing, I will even use a teasing comb, which actually works really, really well. So I'm gonna be starting lower. I apply here, then work my way up afterwards. Like that. And again, a nice, easy fold. Actually, you know what? I think I will even incorporate a little more teasing. So once you're done that, flip back up your sections. I like to take the hair in between. So since I did this one, I think I will actually skip there and go for the other. I don't need it to be one solid block of blonde. I want a little bit of her natural hair in between to kind of break it up, but I still do want quite a shock. So that's why I'm going in between and adding a bit of teasing, just to add a little extra coverage here. There we go. Boom, good retention when you're holding your paper and hair. Okay, legs down. And go up. Stick it in there. And again, I will skip one in between. All right. Hey, you know what? I think I will skip, actually no, I'm gonna add a little one right here, and I'm gonna add a little teasing just right around the face too. That's the key money piece area. It's such a nice texture. The bleaching powder, K-Blonde bleaching powder. And I've got such good results working with them. And 8 levels is awesome, really, really awesome. And if you're doing it well, like really take someone who's dark, level 5 and natural hair, of course, and can really bring them up to a nice light level 9 or more without damaging their hair. And Lakme also has a fantastic product called iPlex, which is a godsend saver and literally worry-free, which you just add into your bleach or colors. And so my last section here, like I said, I'm just going to add a little extra teasing right around here because I want maximum brightness around her face here. So I'll lightly tease that, boom, boom, like so. Go. Yeah, it's so much easier to saturate smaller sections, smaller weaving or slicing, whatever you do, than it is to go and saturate thicker sections. You end up having to flip your foil over and try to saturate the other side, but in the end, you're still not gonna get a nice even lift that way. You're really like, people do that because they feel like they're cheating time, but you're really not. You're giving yourself a harder time. You're actually giving, okay, you're making yourself a little bit more creative at the sink, how to fix brassy tones. Because in the end, bigger sections means brassier, more gold, harder to control that. All right, so next section on the other side, again, nice and small. All right, we're getting to the end here. Alrighty, so as you can see, I've got my top compartments finished and ready to go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start the side. So right around the face, hugging the face here, this little section right to the ear. So I'm just gonna adjust my mannequin, perfect. Again, full revolving sections. Nice and thin, baby weaving. So you're just going to continue doing that, just like you did for your top compartment. Over on the side here, fold it, and section, right up until your anchor point here, which is the highest point behind the ear, here. So intertwining twining, weaving or slicing, and teasing. I love doing foilyage. It's my favorite way to do a balayage, but it's not the only way to do a balayage. So I've shown you today how to do foilyage using K-Blonde powder, bleaching powder. And then after, for my next section, I'll show you how to do a great painting technique, also using Lakme, but they're K-Blonde bleaching clay, which is really fun to work with. And because I'm actually skipping a step with my weaves here, because I'm taking them nice and finely, and I'm not just going and depositing right up at the root, and I'm like softly kind of working the product up here in an uneven kind of consistency. I'm giving it a teased effect, if you will. The bigger your section, however, the less of a fluid transition you're gonna have. It's not gonna be as nice. So you really do have to make sure you've got nice, baby fine weaving or slicing to get that. But actually, if you are doing slicing, you could do that, or you can go ahead and do like a shadow root afterwards to hide anything, any kind of, but today I wanna show you how to not hide and work with your client's natural base and not messing with it at all here. You also really want to make sure you've got good saturation, enough product on there. Don't be shy, but also don't be too generous, because you don't want to weigh down your paper here. Sometimes if you've got too much product, it'll overheat and expand anyway, and your papers will slip and slide and then stain sections or parts of the hair you do not want to be stained. So be generous, but not over generous. Alrighty, so as you can see, I've finished my foilyage technique on my top and sides. Now I'm going to be working on the back and showing you how to do a painting technique using Lakme's bleaching clay. So I'm just going to turn my little friend around. I'm going to continue doing full revolving sections towards the back. So my next section will be kind of like a V. And then in between my V's, I will be doing horizontal sections. So you will see what I mean as I go for just a nice, more natural fall of your application here. So, and V section. Alrighty. We'll start with this side. So, section off here, like so here. So you've got a nice V that kind of follows the flow of the hairline. And this section here, the bottom, I'm actually gonna make it a little as thin as I can because I want it to be as bright as I can. It's right underneath here is what shows, you know, when you're walking around. A lot of people don't really think too much of underneath, but it actually shows quite a bit. So if you have it brighter right underneath around the neck here, when she pulls her hair forward, she'll be nice and bright. And then that actually makes your job a little bit easier for the rest of your head. You don't need to focus as much on top. As you can see, I've sectioned off my flower or my whirl, my crown section a little bit higher up because I really want to keep it rooty. I don't want her to have to worry about coming for touch-ups as often. And there we go, just buckle that down here. All right, so painting technique here. So like I said, I'm using Lakmé's bleaching clay. It lists up to 6 levels and it doesn't dry out, which is awesome for freehand techniques like this. So I'm going to put actually just a little bit on my hand here, like so, and as you can see, it's a nice clay-like texture. And I'm going to put just a touch on my brush here. Good tension. And I'm going to go in like a V-like section. So I'm going to start here and painting downward. Like so. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to start teasing up. And I'm literally going to be teasing the little baby hairs up. So you don't actually need to tease with a comb, you're literally teasing with your brush. Like so. This is going to give it a nicer finish. And then I'm going to just take a look underneath here and add just a little bit more. Follow that in a V-like section. So I'm going to go and add a little bit more here. And tease up a bit. Perfect. Once you're happy with that, start and applying. Using your hand. It's a really great product, really great. I love this texture here. Processing time is 45 to 60 minutes. Awesome. And because it's only 6 levels, and I'm using a mannequin head here, I'm using 30 volume today. But if you are knowing that you're going up against the balayage, it will take a long time. You can start with a lower developer and work your way up to a stronger developer. And voila. And so next section, I'll take over here. Same idea. Start applying downwards. Once you're happy with that, start doing like a tease-like motion. In a V-like application here. Voila. And pull your section up to get right underneath, because like I said, you want lots of brightness right around her hairline. And then apply the rest like so. Perfect. Next section I will take like so. Straight down. apply. We want this one to be just a smidgen thinner here. Kind of almost like a bricklay pattern here, V and horizontal. So take your section, a little bit on the tip. Nice, try to keep it as clean as possible. You don't want to go with way too much product and just kind of dump it on, because with balayage, what you see is what you get, and if any mistakes are there, it's going to be hard to kind of fix. Once it's on, it's on. So, good downward motion. Again, tease up all those little baby hairs with your brush in a V section, or a V-like pattern, if you will. There we go. Once you're happy with that, apply your product from the mid-lengths to ends, saturate completely. Using your hand here as a little plaque or board. And checking underneath. Well, underneath looks good. Perfect. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to let that drop. And you continue the rest of your back section like so. So, V. Revolve like section. Let that drop. Same as to this side. So we've got our last full revolving section here, V section if you will. Applying that, so straight down, tease up. Beautiful little V. Here. So I'm going to be stopping my application around here. Now I'm nice and happy with that. Like I said, I do not need to cover up. I can let that sit. And here we are. Take a nice look of that. You can see I've sectioned the top half part, so once that's all done, that'll fall nicely over everything. Nice finished lady. So I'm going to let her process anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour.